Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, a king and queen longed for a child.
If only we had a child to share this beauty with.
When their wish was finally granted, with the birth of a beautiful baby girl, they were overjoyed. The king declared a grand celebration, a christening to which all the important people in the land were invited, including the fairies who lived in the kingdom. Now, there were 13 wise fairies in this land, but the king, having only 12 golden plates, decided to invite just 12 of them. This, my friends, was a fateful mistake. The celebration was a magnificent affair. The palace halls rang with music and laughter. After the feast, the 12 invited fairies began to bestow their magical gifts upon the infant princess. One gave her virtue, another beauty, a third wealth, and so on, each gift more wonderful than the last. As the 11th fairy finished giving her blessing, the hall doors suddenly burst open. In stormed the 13th fairy, her face contorted with fury. She was furious at not being invited. Her eyes blazed with anger as she approached the cradle. Without a word of greeting, she shrieked her terrible curse. When the princess is 15, she will prick her finger on a spindle and fall down dead. And with that, she vanished in a puff of smoke, leaving the entire court in shocked silence.
Everyone was horrified.
The queen wept, holding her baby close. But then, the 12th fairy, who had not yet given her gift, stepped forward. She couldn't undo the evil curse completely, but she could soften it.
The princess shall not die. No. Instead, she will fall into a deep sleep that will last for 100 years.
This brought some small comfort to the king and queen, but they were still deeply afraid for their daughter. Determined to protect his precious child, the king issued a decree. Every single spindle and spinning wheel in the entire kingdom was to be gathered and burned. He hoped that by eliminating the source of the danger, he could outsmart the curse. And for a while, it seemed to work. The princess, whom they named Briar Rose, grew up to be everything the fairies had promised. Kind, intelligent, beautiful, and loved by all. She lived a happy, carefree life, completely unaware of the dark shadow hanging over her future. The years passed peacefully, and the memory of the curse began to fade, almost like a bad dream. On the very day she turned 15, the king and queen happened to be away from the castle. Feeling a bit adventurous, Briar Rose decided to explore the palace on her own. She wandered through countless rooms and corridors she had never seen before, her curiosity growing with every step. Finally, she came to an old, forgotten tower. She climbed a narrow, winding staircase and found a small, rusty key in a lock. She turned the key, and the door creaked open. Inside the dusty little room, she saw an old woman sitting at a strange contraption, busily spinning thread.
Good day, ma'am. What is that thing you are working on?
The old woman, who was, of course, the evil fairy in disguise, just smiled and said,
It's a spinning wheel.
The princess had never seen one before and was fascinated.
It looks so interesting. May I try?
Before the old woman could even answer, Briar Rose reached out and touched the spindle, the sharp point pricking her finger. Instantly, the curse took effect. Her eyelids grew heavy, and she sank onto a nearby bed, falling into a profound sleep. And the enchantment didn't stop with her. At that very same moment, the sleep spread like a wave throughout the entire castle. The king and queen, who had just returned, fell asleep on their thrones. The courtiers, the cooks in the kitchen, the guards at the gate, even the horses in the stable and the dogs in the courtyard, all fell silent and still. The fire in the hearth died down, the wind stopped rustling the leaves, and a deep, magical silence descended upon the palace. As the years rolled by, a thick, thorny hedge began to grow around the castle. It grew taller and denser with each passing year, until the palace was completely hidden from view, its towers and turrets swallowed by a wall of impenetrable briars. Stories of the sleeping princess, Briar Rose, became a local legend, a tale told to children by the fire. Many brave and ambitious princes heard the story and tried to break through the thorny barrier to reach the enchanted castle, but all of them failed. The thorns were like living things, grasping and trapping anyone who dared to try, and many perished in the attempt. 100 years passed, to the very day. A new prince from a different land was riding nearby and heard the old tale from a villager.
Beautiful princess downed to sleep for a century. And how many had died trying to save her?
But this prince was not discouraged. He was filled with a sense of destiny.
I am not afraid. I will go and see the beautiful Briar Rose.
As the prince approached the fearsome hedge, something miraculous happened. Because the 100 years were up, the thorny briars transformed. They turned into beautiful, large flowers that parted on their own to let him pass, then closed again behind him. He walked through, untouched. When he reached the castle, he found an eerie, silent world. He saw the sleeping guards, the motionless horses, and the courtiers frozen in time. He walked through the halls, past the sleeping king and queen on their thrones, until he found the old tower. He climbed the winding stairs and entered the small room where Briar Rose lay sleeping. He stood there for a moment, captivated by her beauty. She looked so peaceful, as if she had just closed her eyes for a moment. He felt a deep connection to her, a pull he couldn't explain. Leaning down, he gently gave her a kiss. At the touch of his lips, Briar Rose's eyes fluttered open. She awoke from her long slumber and looked at the prince with a sweet smile. At that exact same moment, the entire castle woke up with her. The king and queen stirred on their thrones. The cook in the kitchen went back to his work. The fire roared back to life, and the birds began to sing in the courtyard. The enchantment was finally broken. The prince and Briar Rose felt an instant connection, as if they had known each other forever. Not long after, a grand wedding was held, even more splendid than the christening 100 years before. The kingdom celebrated for days on end, overjoyed at the return of their beloved princess. And as for Briar Rose and her prince, they lived happily ever after, their love story becoming the most cherished legend of all. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more classic tales.